Fresh. Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce. He is Tyler Edmonds. My friend, happy Sunday to you. Happy Cubs series victory. The Cubs took over Yinzerpalooza this weekend in Pittsburgh with a 2 out of 3. We're going to talk all about it. Tyler, how you doing, my friend?
Ron, happy Sunday to you as well. I'm great. I'm great because, like you said, the Cubs won a series. And when they win a series, I don't care how bad of a day you're having. When the Cubs win a series, I'm in a better mood, man. I'm in a better mood. Great mood, actually.
Everything just feels better when the Cubs are winning baseball games. I tend to completely agree. Tyler, it's a beautiful Sunday. And although the Cubs weren't in town, Banana Ball was in town. I did not go. My wife went and was nice enough to pick me up a souvenir, which I appreciate. But that took over Wrigley this weekend. It was a lot of fun for a lot of people. And the Cubs took over, as we said, Yinzerpalooza just a little bit. And Tyler, I'll tell you what, you know what else my wife got for the Bananas game that she wore down there? She wore a beautiful Wrigley is Bananas t-shirt from our friends over at Obvious Shirts. Great purchase. Go check the QR code in the corner. Get a bunch of cool stuff. You can even get one of these. The hats, the 120 collection are always fantastic. That one is my wife's specifically that I stole for this promo. Tyler, in addition, the Pete Crow-Armstrong July 4th stuff is some of my favorite. And we're going to talk a little bit about that guy here tonight. But go check that out. On Tap Sports is the code for 10% off with our friends at Obvious Shirts. Tyler, this was a fun series. And Friday started off, I think, in proper fashion for this series. I think a lot of people lose sight of that the Pirates are actually like kind of decent at baseball. And this was a big series. And Friday felt like it. Friday felt like a playoff atmosphere. You know, Paul Skeens getting fired up on the mound. We've seen, everybody in this series took it seriously. But Friday was the one game that truly felt like a playoff game. Mm-hmm. Close one. Cubs come out on top in extras. Big hit by Dansby. And we got to see some more magic with Pete Crow-Armstrong's bat.
I'm telling you, you look at people. You were talking about how people forget about the Pirates. People forget about Jared Jones.
That dude's nasty.
He's coming off the IL. I want to say this is probably what I'd say his sixth start. I feel like. No, I don't think he's made 10 starts this year, but before he was hurt, Jared Jones was right up there with Paul Skeens as a 1-2 or a 1A or a 1B to Paul Skeens as 1A, like just as good. In a lot of trade talks the year before, just because of how dominant of a pitcher he is. And for this team, I get it. It was a 1-1 game, like you said, felt like a playoff series. For this team to ride the course, ride Jared Jones out until he was gone, and then take advantage of the extra innings. You could say what you want about, they walked the bases loaded, and they took advantage of it. They took advantage of their opportunities, and like you said, Dansby come through big time with a big RBI hit in extras, and it's just something that this team has to continue to do to stay in the playoff race, to stay especially at the top of the wild card division or the wild card standing.
100%. And Tyler, going back really quick to Jared Jones. Jared Jones is nasty. Actually, in fact, this series was his 10th start of the year. So to your point, he's coming back. A lot of people, I think, sometimes forget about these guys who light it up and then they disappear because of injuries. Jared Jones is nasty. And he's got a 3.72 ERA this year. That's even with Friday's game, 53 Ks in about 46 innings of work.
Ron, he
this-
would be the ace of this team right now.
1,000%.
1,000%.
1,000%. And you know who pitched like an ace was Matthew Boyd. 7 incredible innings from him. And I'll tell you what, Tyler, you mentioned the Cubs taking advantage of their opportunities, taking advantage of, well, they walked the bases loaded and things like that. Hey, man, Pirates had bases juiced too, and Matthew Boyd made some big pitches and did some really big things on the mound to keep the Cubs in position to win that game. They need those. And I'll tell you what, kudos to him. Kudos to another guy we're going to talk about from Saturday's start with Shota Imanaga. These two guys have been the most consistent options when on the mound for the Cubs this year, and they've needed every bit of it, as we're going to get to a little bit down the road here as we get more into game 3. But for game 1, you got to love what Matthew Boyd did.
Oh, for sure. 7 innings from that guy, that's exactly what you need. You take some stress off the bullpen, especially when you see who was starting today. So that's always nice. You save your bullpen for that series. And like you said, Ron, a big series. I know you could say what you want about the Pirates. They're just one game back from a wild card. And they're definitely a team that, I'll be honest, with that rotation, with that staff, I would not want to face in a 5-game series. I'd be a little nervous, going to be honest. But Matthew Boyd was all we wanted him to be on Friday, and I think it just sparked the rest of the series.
Yeah, Tyler, I wouldn't especially want to be against them in a 3-game series potentially right out the jump because of that pitching staff. Yeah, you said it. Pittsburgh just a game back. So are the Washington Nationals, and the Cardinals also still hanging around just a game and a half back of the wild card. Cubs are 4.5 clear as of this recording, Tyler. And I'll tell you what, you mentioned the dangerous, they trotted out another dangerous one in the Pirates on Saturday, and that was Paul Skeens. And I'll tell you what, he pitched well, but Cubs were able to get to him enough to make this one interesting. We had more MVPete level performance from Crow-Armstrong, and equally good opposition on the other mound as Shota Imanaga went 6 scoreless against the Pirates. I did not realize, Tyler, I don't know about you, if you looked into the numbers, and they said it on the broadcast on Saturday. Shota Imanaga's numbers against the Pirates in his career are insanity. He had a 0.28 ERA going into Saturday's game, which that means that has now lowered because of another shutout.
Yeah.
He's been unbelievable. If Shota could just pitch against Pittsburgh every day, he'd be the best pitcher in the major leagues.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. He's basically been like the cannonball to their pirate ship. Get it? No, man. It's crazy to think this is 2 times. The first time I was there in person in Pittsburgh, but this is twice now that they have beat the Pirates on a Paul Skeens start. And both times, I get it, the first time they capitalized on a lot of Pittsburgh mistakes, but Saturday, not as much as their defensive mistakes at all. There was nothing like it was. They capitalized on Paul Skeens, who, like you said, was dominating. I want to say he had 7 strikeouts in the first 3 innings. And it looked like, oh God, here we go. It's going to be one of those things where we're going to get 1 or 2 hits and just hope to God that we can keep the scoring down, because we're going to need, hopefully we can at least score 1 to 2 runs, and that, and just keep them from scoring anything. And they just lit the cover off the ball. What was it? Starting in the 5th inning. The 5th inning just freaking went off, and then the 6th inning as well. And hey, shout out! I know, what was it at the time, a 10-0 game. Shout out! We may bring him up, but shout out to James Triantos, first MLB at bat, gets a hit.
Love to see it.
Love to see it. But just that was fun. Saturday was so fun. I mean, Michael Busch, I want to say, had 3 hits as well. PCA 4 for 5. I want to say maybe 4 to 5 guys in the lineup had multiple hits. So yeah, it was exactly what you want to see against a really, really good Cy Young caliber pitcher in Paul Skeens.
1,000%. 1,000%. You love to see it. Prazmaster here in the comments section. Cubs raking off Paul Skeens' revenge for all the years that Randy Johnson shoved it up our ass every time we faced him. It's nice to see. It is really nice to see. Hey, and I'll tell you what, you love to see James Triantos pick up a hit. He was called up over the weekend in place of Kevin Alcantara, who went back to AAA Iowa. Tyler, I can't help but think that he could be trade bait, and I'm sure talk about that here in a little bit. We'll save some of the trade banter, but good to see from him.
I love the moment, the video they showed once he took, like when he first took the field. Did you see that little clip of him just like, let's freaking go type? You can tell he's looking around, just soaking it all. I love that. I love seeing that. That's just, you spend all that time, you spend your whole life getting to that point, and most people don't make it, and he made it, and you can just tell like he's just like soaking it all in, man. It was cool. It was really cool.
Definitely cool to see. I would expect he'll be with the team long enough to maybe get some reps at Wrigley too, which I'm sure will be another special moment for him in his young career. Tyler, speaking of young careers though, how much fun is Pete Crow-Armstrong to watch play baseball? Dude,
I want more people on X to talk crap about Pete Crow-Armstrong, because that's basically his fuel. I love it. I absolutely love it. Just keep talking it up, please, because the more you talk, the more he does. And with people are going to have different opinions about the MVP race. About Ohtani, respect Ohtani, everything he's done so far this season. With the potential of him not pitching anymore this year, there is a really good chance PCA could fight Ohtani for that MVP spot, depending on how well he finishes this season. I asked the question, and I mean, I think it's going to be an easy yes, but do we see back-to-back 30 seasons from him? And I asked that because I wonder if he's going to get, I believe it's 30. He's 13 doubles away from 30. I just wonder if he's going to get the 13 doubles, because like today, for example, got a triple. And he's hit 24 home runs so far this year?
23. Yeah.
23. So I hope it happens. I think the hardest part for him is going to be getting the doubles.
Yeah. The ball has been leaving the yard at a fascinating clip. And I'll tell you what, man, just some of the small things that he has done too. He's so much fun. The hilariously stupid steal off of Skeens on Saturday, where he just kind of was in no man's land. He just kind of takes off and he's just like, okay, I'm here. Hysterical. No other guys in the league can do that. He's starting to enter that territory of how Cubs fans talked about Javi Baez, or how Cubs
I swear I was about to say that. He has the electricity of Javi Baez, but more talent.
Yes. And it's reminiscent of past MVP level players here in Chicago. And man, I'll tell you what, it's like, I get Shohei pitches and hits, but he's only a 3-win player at both, respectively.
Yeah.
And Pete just hit 7 wins.
For sure.
Above replacement. I mean, this guy does everything well.
The hardest part for him is going to be getting the old heads, like convincing the old farts that still get to vote, which that's a off-season discussion we could talk about. You know what? That's probably going to be a good off-season topic, because we're going to have to think of topics to talk about this off-season. But his biggest battle will be convincing the old farts, even the ones that especially don't watch baseball still, but still somehow have a vote, is going to be convincing them to vote for PCA and not Ohtani.
Bingo.
Yeah, it's going to be it's the Ohtani fatigue.
It is the Ohtani fatigue, unfortunately. Prazmaster followed that up. Yes, the hate from other fan bases fuels him in relation to Pete Crow-Armstrong. Yeah, he's playing at MVP level. It's still a lot of fun to watch. Tyler, what was not fun to watch, though, was Sunday. Jameson Taillon, 3 long balls, a near long ball that was magically caught by Michael Conforto on the wall. Just 4 innings of work for Taillon, 7 earned runs. Somehow the Cubs made this a ball game.
They did.
And ultimately, it was an 8-7 final on Sunday. A legitimate chance to come back and try to take that game, but they were just down too far too early. And now Jameson Taillon's future is on the line. Craig Counsell incredibly non-committal about Taillon making another start for the team and pretty much saying that they're going to go to the drawing board and figure out what's best for the franchise. Tyler, I don't know about you. I find it really hard, even though he's been awful, for a DFA here because the Cubs just need healthy arms right now. Unless there's a move coming soon,
there has to be
easily backfill him.
Here, so I've been kind of keeping up with it just because it's almost been like a running joke as far as like he's going to break his home run record, but not in a good way. So Ron, let's see here real quick. I believe 15 games this season, he's given up 25 home runs, which is 2 less than his career high, which was in 2023, his first year with the Cubs, where he gave up 27 home runs, but in 30 games. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. At this point, Ron, I would take the dump that I had at Target this afternoon over Jameson Taillon. I don't even like that. I don't even like the idea of him being in the bullpen. I really don't, because there was an article. I know you wrote an article, and then I'd seen something else about where the possibility of being in the bullpen. I don't want Jameson Taillon in the bullpen, a guy that is so prone to the home run ball. I don't care what anybody else wants to say about the rest of his numbers. Like that home run ball, especially this time of the year, that's a difference maker in a bad way, a very bad way. I get it. We need healthy arms. They're not him. Not him, man. I don't know, dude, but it's not, he's not right this year.
He's not right. And I'll tell you what, I've wrestled with this over the last how many hours now since the word from Craig Counsell came out following the game. And originally I'm like, well, yeah, he's making he counts for $18 million against your books this year. Like, how do you just cut that guy? And then I go, but you're in a playoff window, and I agree with you, Tyler. I don't think he fits in the bullpen. Guys that give up huge moonshots are not going to do well there. There's certainly ballparks where I think Jameson Taillon could do okay. You know, San Francisco, I think, is a great example, right? That's a very pitcher-friendly ball. You need somewhere where the ball doesn't fly as much for him right now. Somebody will give him innings down the stretch. Even if the Cubs do DFA him, somebody will sign Jameson Taillon for the rest of the season. I'd be shocked if they didn't. But, man, the longer I think about it, the more I go, where's a place for him? And that sucks. And I will say this, Tyler, the human aspect involved. Like, everything about Jameson Taillon as a teammate is exactly what you want in that Cubs clubhouse. You know, and that you see why they prioritize guys like that. The way he's talked about by Ian Happ and Crow-Armstrong, and he's like the biggest cheerleader, and he looks out for everybody, and the whole coffee thing, and he's like bringing people goodies and stuff. Like, that means a lot. That's an important piece of that locker room. So I think they're actually having that conversation right now, saying, "Man, this team is gelling, and we're probably just going to improve it at the deadline." And, like, he's kind of a key cog in that clubhouse morale. Like, can you phantom IL him for a little while?
I was about to ask, yeah.
Like, maybe. You just try to essentially just let him hang on and pretty much say, like, hey, man, you're, either we can release you now and give you your dignity, or, like, you can ride out the rest of the season, but you're not going to do much for us.
You could be an extra coach.
Yeah. Like, honestly, at this point, I don't even know if they do that necessarily mid-season, but I really wonder what they're going to do, man, because from a production standpoint, it's not there, but I know what he means to that clubhouse based on what players have said in the past. That's where I wrestle with what actually happens with him. Now, if the Cubs are able to just phantom IL him and they make a notable trade, because we just saw a trade yesterday, Tyler. I don't know if you saw that one.
Oh, the Red Sox?
It was a little puzzling for me,
yeah.
But yes. The Red Sox and Nationals made a great trade, a trade that involved one of my fantasy baseball players, Mr. Tyler. He's currently on my IL, of course, up with the Red Sox. But it's also a familiar face for those that are in the Chicagoland area because Mr. Meade was a White Sox. So Curtis Meade goes to the Boston Red Sox in this deal as Connolly Early goes to the Washington Nationals. It's just a 1-for-1 swap.
Yeah, which, I mean, wasn't Early one of their top prospects?
He was.
It just
So
makes
Early,
you wonder that
Early
that
was a guy.
that was the price for
Early
that guy.
was a guy that the Cubs were in on, supposedly, if you believe the rumors in the offseason, with the Red Sox about Matt Shaw possibly going to the Red Sox. And is that it would be Early as a part of a package in return, or that's what the Cubs were asking, and Boston balked at the time. I think Boston they're at a point now because of their little hot streak where they said, we need a bat who can come in and fill a need. And right now, infielders are a need for them.
Yeah.
Especially for any kind of production with the bat. Anybody not named Wilson Contreras right now? But
yeah,
like Curtis Meade is going to be Meade's going to be a player that they need to just keep doing what he's doing. He's been really good for the Nationals. Nationals are in a playoff race. Like, I think this was a swap where both teams had a clear, Boston had more pitching and needed hitting and vice versa. They made it work. And I think it's an interesting trade. But I hope this means that the Cubs are now maybe going to make a deal. Maybe things are going to start happening a little earlier, than they have in the past, where we wait for deadline day. I mean, we're getting really close. We're just over a week now from the trade deadline. It'll be a week tomorrow on Monday. Really excited to see what happens. Press is here. Meade was the guy the Sox got back for Adrian Hauser last year. He wanted the Cubs to get Hauser so badly. Yeah. I think a lot of people wanted Adrian Hauser in a Cubs uniform. So Tyler, I mean, I look at this right now with Taillon and I just say, like, hopefully there is that move coming. I think it's a phantom IL though for right now, and then they'll see how the deadline goes. Because I think you got to be at least able to fill those innings. Because I know it's not ideal, but who else are going to throw a baseball?
Exactly. I mean, this start right here just makes you. It just made me want to scroll back and look. Okay, what's the return table? What's the return timeline on a Edward Cabrera, on a Justin Steele? Or where are you, Ben Brown? How's that neck doing? Do you need anything from my neck? And which don't get me wrong, Edward Cabrera wasn't that great either when he before he jumped on the aisle as well. But I mean, there's got to be a move because again, you don't know what you have with Eddie C coming back whenever he decides to come back. Yeah. Ben Brown, from the looks of it, hell, he may not pitch the rest of the season. I don't know. And obviously we know that we're not getting much from Justin Steele other than probably an opener here and there and one or two innings out of the bullpen here, per outing, whatever. Something's gotta happen. So, and I agree with you. I think a phantom IL is the most logical thing to do right now at this point, because you don't throw him you're not getting anything back for him with Jameson. You're just not. I don't see that happen. I don't see anybody. I mean, maybe, like you said, maybe next season he gets picked up by the Giants just because it's a pitcher friendly park, but there's no value with him right now. So I believe I agree. I think that's the only logical thing to do right now is throw him on the phantom IL, and God, can we just make a move right now? Or at least with, sometime soon.
Sometime soon, indeed. They're going to need to add pitching, man. At least one starter and probably at least one bullpen arm. That's the bare minimum that they can go into this coming trade deadline. And Tyler, I mean, let's dive a little bit deeper then into the deadline here, shall we? Because I think Sunday's game kind of opens that can of worms. It's still a series win. We're still super pumped about what the Cubs did. Now you got a chance with the Redbirds coming up, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But you start to look around the league, and I think at least what's fascinating is maybe we'll see some of these teams that are in like the middle of the pack make these type of deals that we saw with Meade and Early to quickly address major league needs, maybe some more 1-for-1 deals. But I am very intrigued at the fact that the Pittsburgh Pirates traded a pitcher to the White Sox. Urquidy, I believe is his name. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, a smaller move, but seems like teams are willing to do a little bit more tinkering than necessarily just big names going out there. Does that concern you Or do you think we're still going to see enough big names moved at the deadline where the Cubs can actually land somebody that's going to be fully impactful and not just another Michael Soroka addition at the deadline?
Somebody's going to throw their chips at the table for a big move. It's going to happen. I honestly feel like, and don't know if the Cubs get him. I know we talked about it last episode. I think somebody's going to throw their chips in for a Mason Miller. I don't think Skubal gets traded. But I think somebody will. I'm not super concerned, but it is kind of whatever you want to call it, eye-opening or whatever, when you see reports out there of teams, such and such team is willing to trade at the deadline, but not wanting to move from their top 10 prospects and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, well, buddy, you're going to have to do one or the other. You can't sit here and say, oh, we're going to be big players at the table, but not be willing to give up some of your prospects. That's what you're going to have to do. Sorry about it. You're not going to, for example, a Mason Miller is not, it's common sense. We all know a Mason Miller is not going to, we're not going to do a 1-1 trade for a Mason Miller. Not happening. Not freaking happening. If you want the big arm, you want the big bat, you're going to have to pay for it in either prospects or current players you got right now that have a lot of value.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this goes back a little bit to what we were talking about with Triantos, but I wonder if, over the next week, is this a little bit of an audition for him to maybe not necessarily just be a trade chip, but at least see if the Cubs feel like they have enough depth with him.
For sure.
Can he be a catalyst that helps this team a little bit off the bench? I think they need a bench bat too. And I think that's why you're starting to see them cycle through some of these guys and saying, hey, if one of these guys can give us value off the bench this year, then maybe we don't have to focus on that so much at the deadline. And they can turn around and really push their efforts in toward the bullpen and starting pitching. But I am in full belief that they're also looking for a bench bat as well, unless maybe, Triantos is able to impress enough, or maybe a team says, hey, we like that kid. We see that you called him up. You clearly think he's ready. We'll take him in a deal in order to get one of those big things. I wonder where the Cubs go. I really do. Because I still don't fully know who's selling, Tyler. And it's, outside of like kind of the logical names, right? Like the Giants are probably going to sell. The Rockies are probably going to sell. The A's will now probably sell a little bit just because too many injuries have beat their season up. Layers might be gone now after Kurtz was just gone for a little bit. There's so few teams where it's like, I just don't know where the talent's going to come from.
And the problem with those teams that you named right off the bat, like, who are you getting from the Rockies? Who are you getting from the A's? The Giants have some intriguing pieces. The problem with the Giants, though, other than like a Robbie Ray, is, it's no secret. Logan Webb hates San Francisco, and I'd love for him to be in San Francisco. The cost of a Logan Webb would be astronomical. Then you look at their hitters that supposedly are on the market. They're all stuck with these large contracts. Matt Chapman, Willie Adames, Raffy Devers, and his drama as well. So the ones that are complete, more than likely sellers right now, there's your issue. Now the Mets, on the other hand, we talked about Freddie Peralta last episode. There's a guy that, I hate to say it, but I read an article and it kind of makes sense. Wouldn't be shocked if the Brewers tried to go back for Freddie Peralta. Wouldn't that be something? Freddie Peralta come back and find himself again with Milwaukee again.
That'd be such a kick in the balls.
Gosh, that'd be such a after just picking up Lance, which I seen earlier where they picked up Lance McCullers, but just DFA'd him, which it just makes me wonder if there was some kind of issue with him, because if he's healthy, I would gladly take Lance McCullers right now. Just try him out. Why not? One team, and this is kind of like a cheap plug, I guess, but one team that I think is going to be sellers, that it sucks to say this because they were in the World Series last year, is the Toronto Blue Jays. And I think the Blue Jays have some pieces, a la Kevin Gausman, that final year of his contract. Yeah, I get it. He's not having his Kevin Gausman-like season this year, but he's a guy that has been there, done that, and he's a guy that I would trust well over a lot of the starters in this rotation right now, especially in a wild card matchup. He's got 2,000 plus strikeouts. Just like I said, just pitched in the World Series last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not just him. I know they got a couple. They've got a closer that I want to say he has like 20 plus saves right now. I can't think of his name, but I feel like if I'm the Blue Jays, if you have anything like that, especially a bullpen arm of any value, you're almost 5.5, 6 games back from the wild card. Why wouldn't you trade your bullpen arms or your bullpen pieces right now?
1,000%. Yeah. Why wouldn't you offload things that typically year to year you're going to shuffle anyway? The bullpen gets shuffled.
Oh, for sure. And we've said that. I feel like we say that every year, Ron, about our bullpen. It's just every year is it's just a completely different, clean slate. Other than any other position on the field, it does not matter how well you were last year. The next year, as we know, for 99% of bullpen arms, is just a brand new, completely different slate.
Yeah, it's the island of misfit toys. That is for certain. I think Kevin Gossman's a great fit, Tyler, and I'll also plug your article that you wrote over at ontapsportsnet.com regarding the fit for Gossman, and it's not about the numbers with him right now. The ERA is a little inflated. He's had a little bit of a tough year. The wins and losses certainly aren't there. He's gotten shelled a few times, but that dude knows how to miss bats.
Yes.
And the playoff experience from a veteran like that is unmatched. We kind of saw Matthew Boyd turn into that player, right? Last year, where he put on a little bit of the Superman cape. And even though they weren't able to get it done, they were able to hang around a hell of a lot longer because he was able to step up. A guy like Gossman is the guy that can do that. And he's not going to cost you as much as other arms out there. He's older. He's an expiring contract. But man, that experience with this Cubs team, I think it's something they'd really welcome. It would feel like a Lackey type or a Hamill type addition where they don't need to be sparkling and perfect every time out, the rest of the season and then in the playoffs. But you just want that guy that's been there, done that, and has the track record that he has in order to go out there and fully take care of business. Couple of comments here, Tyler, quickly from Praz. As he's commenting along, and others, we encourage you to comment along as well. Thanks for joining the conversation here, Praz. He says, really hoping they can get a right-handed hitting outfielder that hits lefties well, so he doesn't have to watch Ian Happ hit right-handed again. He bleeped out Ian Happ's name in the comment. I'll tell you what, I think that's part of the reason why James Trantos is up. I think that's what they're trying to figure out, if they can fix that from within. He also says, was thinking about a trade with the Yankees like this: Michael Conforto for Paul Blackburn. Blackburn was a name that we've discussed on this show recently as well. They have 2 outfielders in the IL and Judge and Bellinger, and they have a surplus of bullpen options, and he says they being the Yankees. Also fascinating addition, and that's 2 teams that are like, hey, we're trying to get better, and maybe we can help you and you can help us.
Yeah.
We're 2 different pennants.
Throw in Camilo Doval for free as well, New York. You guys don't want him. You guys are tired of him.
Yeah.
We'll take him.
That's right.
And another guy with Toronto, he's not having that good of a season so far, but a guy that's also been there, done that, former Cy Young winner, Shane Bieber, a former Cleveland guy that they've had a little bit of success with Cleveland guys. Look at Matthew Boyd.
Yeah.
I feel like he's I feel like he would be more of a risk than Gausman, but another guy that maybe he gets traded as well. Another guy that is, I believe this is his final year of his contract too, because he signed a 2-year contract last year, but he was out.
Yep.
Was he out the whole season last year?
I think it was a fair majority of it. Yeah.
The majority of it.
He was recovering from surgery. So this is the 2nd year of that deal. Dude, I'll tell you what if they could get both?
Oh God.
I think that's doable.
Yeah.
And I think crazy enough, if you get, you being the Cubs, if they're able to get Ben Brown back and a couple other guys back for the playoffs, now all of a sudden maybe you have your 3 guys that you're saying, okay, we're for sure trotting them out there starters. It's probably Shota. It's probably, if they were to get Gausman in this example, and Boyd, and then you can kind of piecemeal that every other 4th game together with guys like Steele, Brown, and a Bieber, where they don't have to go as deep. They can just be nasty and almost just become like multi-inning relief guys. And whatever Bieber gives you over the last bit of the season, just as another arm to throw out there. And we can't forget about what David Peterson's done for the Cubs too.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's been great. I know a lot of people aren't talking about him. He's arguably been better than Colin Ray has recently. I'd be willing to give him playoff starts. If
you can say the 2nd start was bad, but who was that against?
He got beat up by
wasn't LA, was it?
I don't think it was. I'll look this up while you're getting
But
through your thought
other
here.
than his second bad start, yeah, Ron, he's been very, very solid, especially I'm not putting Colin Ray in Jameson St. Louis. That's right, St. Louis. It was a pounding against St. Louis.
It was.
At home.
Yep.
Colin Ray, I'm not putting Colin Ray in that Jameson Taillon category yet, but he's a guy that I just would not trust in a playoff series for sure. I wouldn't. Down that September stretch, you're playing games where you're trying to stay in a certain spot. I don't know how well I trust Colin Ray. I would trust him more, like you said, just in that bullpen role. Throw him in that role of, yep, maybe you start Ben Brown and you could say, hey, Ben Brown, if you give us 3 innings, great. Hell, if you give us 5 innings, that's even better. And then throw him in something like that with him and Justin Steele or whoever, or maybe you start Justin Steele as an opener and then bring in Ben Brown and then whoever else you want to throw in. Maybe you tag one of them with Shota Imanaga, which we know last year, especially against Milwaukee, we knew how that kind of you do that, Ron, with those 2 trades right there with Bieber and Gosman. Yeah, you again, health being the key factor in all this, that they come back as scheduled. You open up a lot of windows and opportunities, and you kind of turn something that was a big giant question mark for most of the season into hey, we've got a good problem now.
Definitely. That's exactly what I was thinking, Tyler. And the only point I have to close that thought is you have a great problem when you have so many arms that you can essentially design your each series roster with who's going to pitch in that series.
For sure.
And then if it's the 3 games, then you can reset it for the 5-game series if you want, and how you trot them out. You can have a ton of dudes that could start games effectively as bullpen arms.
You look back at the
playoff series.
You look back at the 2016 team. They had who was it? Was it Marquis? Didn't even make the playoff roster.
Yeah.
And had over 15 wins or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, when you're sitting at the end of the season, headed to the playoffs, and you're your coaches and everybody, and even us sitting here talking on this and all, everybody else's, when you're sitting there saying, damn, who are we going to leave out of the playoffs, of the playoff rotation? Like, that's when you know you've got a good problem.
That's a great problem to have. And it'll be a welcome problem for the Cubs, because we saw how last year went with virtually nobody available for the playoffs. And who knows if they have just a couple more guys available, could they go further? Could they maybe make a run at it? I guess we'll never know. Tyler, what is on tap next? It's none other than your favorite team in the whole wide world.
Oh, gosh.
The St. Louis Cardinals. It's a 4-game series down in St. Louis, which I believe had a field-like temperature today of 102 degrees. It was a steamy hot one in the armpit of America. And now the Cubs get to go play 4 there. The Tarps Off crew helped ignite some of this PCA generational MVP run. And 4 big games here with another team that's knocking on the door of a wild card spot. The Cubs could really start to distance themselves from some teams with 3 out of 4 in this series. At minimum, a split, Tyler, before they return home for some big opponents then at Wrigley Field, following the Yankees and Dodgers in not so distant future.
At the very least, you got to split, but you've got to win this one. You've got to create some distance. I know St. Louis, like you said, they're the crotch of America, but you've got to more like the taint of America. My bad. I don't want to give them that much. But I hate to say this. I don't want them hanging around when it comes to the end of the year. I mean, you look at that young roster, and hey, I'll give it to them. They've got a lot of young, good players. JJ Weatherholt, probably going to win Rookie of the Year. Jordan Walker has
might be your
at least to the home run derby
has
just he's broke out for a guy that's been sent up and down. They're going to be tough. I get it. I mean, like Praz was talking earlier, they whooped the crap out of David Peterson just not too long ago. David Peterson's going to get another chance at it. These first two starts, especially between Peterson and Colin Ray, boy, you would love to win those 2 games, because then it feels like between Matthew Boyd and Shota Imanaga that you can easily get one win out of that. But it's going to be hot. Let's get the bats hot. Let's pull a Paul Skeens Saturday start against Pittsburgh out on them again.
And I wouldn't be upset either, Tyler, about seeing the bats get hot, but seeing everybody get hot. I would really like to see some of these young guys contribute to the roster. Pedro Ramirez had a great series against
the Pirates. Did. He had a very good series.
He's really turning into a guy that he's either going to be a huge trade piece at the deadline to take a big swing, or he's going to fill a very critical piece of this team as a depth player for a potential run. Something like we saw with Wilson Contreras when he came up in 2016, where he became a really important piece. I think there was a world where Pedro Ramirez could be that too, as the guy could move around the infield. He can DH for you. He's been a good bat. And on top of that, we saw him today at third base to give Alex Bregman a blow. And kind of as we approach the dog days of August, I think that's going to be really meaningful to this Cubs team down the stretch. So maybe Triantos see a little bit from this series as well.
What's Matthew Shaw's timetable right now?
They just released an update today that it could extend beyond the trade deadline. It's feeling lesser and less like he's coming soon.
I got you.
So who knows?
I didn't see what Danny P looked like. He threw a bullpen. What was it, like yesterday or something?
Yeah, he threw a bullpen, and I don't know if that they said that one's kind of still just like status quo too. So
it's one of those things where, like, between Triantos and Pedro, like you said, it could be an audition for 29 other teams right now. Well, not 29, but you know what I mean. But
a handful of teams that could be looking for major league ready youth. I think that's, people always talk, well, maybe the Cubs prospect pool isn't as deep as some other teams, but they have a lot of guys that are right at the major league level. And there's so many teams that want that immediate satisfaction of a player that can come in and essentially try to make your team better immediately. That could be a huge piece in a trade, or again, just these guys could be huge pieces down the stretch.
The nice thing about Pedro too, he puts the ball in play a lot.
Sure does.
I really like that about him. He does.
I do. He's a fun player, man. A guy that I would hate to see them trade unless you're going after a huge piece, right? I know.
I agree. I would hate
with the Scooble idea, and
for sure. I mean, he'd be an awesome utility piece. I'm not going to sit here and call him a Ben Zobrist, but he's a guy that you could put in multiple spots. But if it means getting you that arm that you need, you got to do it. You have to. If he's not going to be trade bait, if he could be a Tommy LaStella level player, I think that's a huge addition to this team. For sure. And I mean, not to go back 10 years ago, I get it. We want to, but whatever. You gave up Gleyber Torres, who at the time when you gave up Gleyber Torres for Aroldis Chapman, everybody was like, oh my God, you just gave up your future shortstop, man. The all-star MVP caliber shortstop. Guy's basically a second baseman now. But
had a good career though.
He did have a good career. Still is having a good career.
Still is having
an all-star last year. But as much as I would hate to see Pedro go, if it means getting, whether it is a starter or a weapon in the bullpen, you've got it. You've got to do it. You got to pull the trigger.
I agree. And I think that's how they're starting to look at some of these young pieces. And I would expect that to be a lot of the conversations they have in the next week as the trade deadline approaches here. Tyler, quickly back over to you. Any final thoughts before we close up shop?
Final thoughts, at least as far as the series. Just great overall win of a series, but it was just very, very nice to see them get two big wins over two really good pitchers. Congrats to the Hall of Famers being inducted this weekend, who Jeff Kent, Carlos Beltran, and there's one more, right?
I think so. My mind's drawing a blade as
mine is too, but no, other than that, I know we got a lot of Chicago people listening. If you are in the Rosemont area this week, starting Wednesday, the National Sports Collectors Convention. If you are a sports card fan, a memorabilia fan, like getting autographs, there's going to be over 100 people signing. Come to the Rosemont, what is it, the Donald E. Stevens Center, starting Wednesday through Sunday.
Stevens Convention Center. Yeah.
Get there early, but seriously, it is if you are a sports collector of anything, whatever that is, this is the mecca of it all.
Tyler,
check it out.
You did get cut off a little bit there at the beginning. So just to reiterate, you will be there.
I will be there. We'll be set up there. Redman's dugout selling wax. But I may actually bring some. I never sold singles there, but I've got some Jordans that I may be bringing with me. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, come check it out. It's going to be packed. Last year, Justin Steele was in. He was just walking around like a just a spectator, just there, walking around doing like. You may run into some athletes that are just there on their own. So
1,000%.
it's a fun time, man. It is.
Ethan Roberts, a big collector too. Maybe he'll
Andrew Jones, my bad. Sorry.
Yes, Andrew Jones is the other Hall of Fame inductee. Perez wants to know, Tyler, can he get your autograph?
I mean, you can. It's not going to be worth crap, but sure. Why not, man?
Why not? Tyler, my final thoughts. We like a series win. I think it certainly could have been a series sweep. There's a lot to come for the Cubs. I'm excited for the next week to see what they do. And but I'm equally excited to watch them hopefully beat up on the Redbirds in their own building over the next 4 days. So it'll be fun to tune into that. Tyler, as always, we encourage everybody to check out OnTapSportsNet.com and add OnTapSportsNet on the socials. Of course, OnTapSportsNet on YouTube. Like, subscribe, hit that bell button. You know when we go live. Support our friends over at Obvious Shirts if you don't already. Of course, OnTap Sports is your code for 10% off. And be sure when you subscribe to the YouTube channel to turn that bell button on, because you know when all of our great shows go live on the platform, including Cubs on Tap. Four Feathers was just recently live. The Bulls on Tap guys have been active all summer. And, of course, Bears on Tap, because training camp's starting here in a couple days. So
right around the corner.
Football is almost here, ladies and gents. And you'll be able to catch that with the Bears on Tap crew as well. And, of course, if you got friends like the Southsiders, we got those guys covered too at Sox on Tap. And shout out Center Cup Pod. They do a great job covering the sport of golf. Our own Nick Newmeyer was at the Evan Scholar Invitational and the Corn Ferry Tour this weekend here in the Chicagoland area. Did a great job reporting on the tournament, so check all that out as well. www.ontapsports.com, at OnTapSports on the socials, and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Tyler, what do you say? We out here doing Ohio Cubs on tap?
Oh, man, this is starting Monday, guys. St. Louis going into that gooch of a town. I'm ready to go bird hunting, and that's the goal. That's the plan. That it's a business trip, and we're taking care of business starting Monday, and it's just going to be another reason why on Thursday night we're going to say F the Cardinals.
That is the case, and let's go Cubbies.